Пошел.
Jake Paul just got destroyed by boxing experts after a humiliating KO in sparring. The problem child's viral leaked footage has taken the fight world by storm, and boy did the boxing experts have a lot to say. No one's a fan of Paul and his loudmouth approach towards boxing. The athlete has been trying to fit in between real pro boxers, but his new sparring fail just proved that he still belongs on the kids' table. If you're a fan of the fight game or just love a good celebrity showdown, you're going to want to stick around for this one because boxing pros are putting the wannabe boxer on a blast. Let's break it down. Let's start with Paul's longtime critic Joe Rogan, who was the first to share his take on Jake's devastating knockout fail. The UFC commentator has been making rounds on the internet with his no-hold-barred opinions, and the fight world surely doesn't take his words as grains of salt. Joe has recently called out Paul for being a fraud and manipulating fans into believing that he's a legitimate boxer when he's nowhere close.
Kind of insulting. It's brave, it's bold of him, but it's like, Jesus Christ, there's levels to this world.
Jake Paul has been making buzz in the fight world ever since his pro boxing debut. Now his brash personality precedes his boxing skills in the ring. Come on, Jake's better known for the shots he takes at the biggest names in the game. Jake's been in front of the camera for as long as I can remember. This guy pretty much grew up on YouTube, so he shares every aspect of his career with his fans. Ever since the YouTuber turned boxer came into the boxing scene, he has been very open with fans about his training and all, but his latest sparring video has taken the fight world like a storm. He's wobbling like he just got done with the world's hardest leg day. Come on. Every fighter sees tough days during training, right? Well, Jake's got no room for failure because the YouTuber turned boxer is in for two of the toughest fights of his career. The problem child is set to fight Mike Perry on July 20th, and then his highly anticipated clash with Mike Tyson on November 15th at the AT&T Arena. Unlike other opponents Jake has stepped in the ring, Mike Perry and Mike Tyson are both seasoned boxers, and Jake needs to understand that. Taking them down won't be like child's play. He needs to actually put in the work. Perry isn't some old retired MMA star that he handpicked to manipulate the fight world into thinking he's the best out there. This isn't some YouTube prank, it's real life, and Jake needs to understand that. Boxing pros can't help but talk about Jake's recent mishap in the ring. And guess who the first one to hop on the bandwagon was? Joe Rogan, of course. Joe's known for his honest opinions on everything boxing and MMA, so the fight world doesn't take his words lightly. Now we need to give credit where it's due. You can't deny that Jake has given us some epic knockouts. His fights with Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley were definitely some to watch.
Crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as f***. He can crack.
However, the athlete has dug his own grave by going after two tough opponents back-to-back, and judging from his sparring video, he is far from ready. Take it from Rogan. The kid has worked hard and he's taken on some tough opponents, but this knockout, this is a wake-up call. Rogan's recent verbal smackdown at Jake Paul's approach to training and fighting has everyone talking. Fans are joining him too because they've got a bone to pick with Paul as well. How long is he going to pose as a legitimate boxer before actually proving himself? The big question remains. I mean, this guy isn't even taking his fight with Mike Tyson seriously, and that's enough to tell you how unserious he is about the sport. He's been treating it like he's stepping into the ring with a newbie and not the baddest man alive. Things have really gone too far this time. Other boxing experts are sharing their take on the upcoming matchup as well, and their 2 cents aren't much different than Rogan's. UFC President Dana White always has something to say about Jake, and he has weighed in. White has been against the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul matchup ever since it was announced. This guy believes that Mike should stay out of the ring for good and respect his age. The fight world is putting Paul on a blast for making a dirty move by not only challenging, but stepping into the ring with Mike, who will be 58 by the time this fight sees the light of day.
Jake fought a guy who was his age and was also considered a boxer, and he lost. So if you can keep fighting fucking 50-something-year-olds...
You don't think Tyson has a chance?
...and making a living at it, I think that Mike Tyson has a puncher's chance against anybody.
Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather, who has had his own personal beef with Jake Paul, shared his take on the scenario too. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's levels to this sport. Jake needs to understand that he's not at the top level yet. Money Mayweather likes to stay out of the drama as much as he can, but he couldn't keep his opinion about Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul to himself. This mismatched clash has everyone talking. And due to the overhype, a lot of people are forgetting that Jake's got another hurdle to cross before he puts up gloves against Tyson. This guy is fighting Mike Perry in a couple of weeks, and this fight is going to be a close one. Now, I know what you're thinking. Paul is a clear top dog in this match, so how much worse could it possibly be? Well, here's the thing. Mike Perry isn't 58. He's a 32-year-old athlete in his prime, and that brings a lot to the table. Jake hasn't fought an athlete close to his age in quite some time, so this one can really pose some real challenge in the ring. If you haven't been up to speed, let me fill you in with everything you need to know about Mike Perry.
Short elbow there. Boom. He is explosive. He's learning. He's getting better.
Yeah, this dude is tough as hell. Mike is a former UFC star with an impressive record, but bare knuckle is where he truly shines and dominates the game. Platinum is undefeated in bare knuckle with a record of 5-0, and it's safe to say that he's easily the league's biggest star. Now, if you're wondering about his boxing record, he's only ever stepped into the ring once against Kenneth McNeil and failed to come out on top. But that doesn't change anything, because if there's anyone who can pull off an upset, it's Perry.
And I'm gonna fucking knock the teeth out of his mouth. Jake, I'll beat your ass, bitch. July 20th. Come and see it. Emily Arena, Tampa, Florida. Days in pay-per-view.
Perry had initially wanted to challenge Paul in a bare-knuckle fight, but Paul declined the offer and went for a traditional fight instead. Of course, that doesn't change anything, because Perry's still confident he can knock the man out cold. Jake Paul believes that Perry's going to be easy work and that he's going to get a good win to cement his status as a legitimate boxer before he steps into the ring with Tyson for the biggest fight of his career. But former MMA star Michael Bisping has got a whole different point of view. He believes that Jake's making a big mistake underestimating Perry's ability in the ring.
Mike Perry is a fighter. Mike Perry wasn't necessarily the best jiu-jitsu artist or had the best wrestling, but there's not a fight that Mike Perry won't take. I've spoken to Mike Perry on several occasions, and he is the epitome of a real fighter. And he's an absolute star in the bare knuckle organization. So Jake Paul, I think he's made a tremendous mistake here, because he's a real fighter. He's going to get in shape. He's not afraid to mix it up, and he's going to go right at Jake Paul.
Sean O'Malley has shared his take on the upcoming fight, and he believes it's going to be a tough one.
Mike Perry versus Jake Paul. I think it's more of a competitive match. I think Tyson was just a little bit too, aged, weathered. But I think Mike Perry versus Jake Paul is a very, very interesting, very competitive fight. I think it would be the most competitive fight Jake's had outside of the Tommy Fury fight. I would be very interested to seeing it, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's actually happening July 20th, and I don't know where, but I want to go.
But who does he have as his winner?
I think, God dang it, that's actually a tough fight to predict, because Mike's in it, but he's in bare knuckle. It is a different sport, different size space to fight it, different range. It's very similar but very different. Jake's been boxing. Mike's been bare knuckle boxing.
Now, this match can really make or break things for Paul, and he's taking a huge risk fighting Perry before Tyson. You can't tell me this guy couldn't have just waited till November to step into the ring with Iron Mike. But, well, he believes he needs to fight Perry as an appetizer, and you and I both know this clash is going to bring him good money. But is it worth possibly losing the biggest fight of his career? Because that is exactly what's on the line here. Perry is hoping to send Paul crashing onto the canvas to ruin the chances of him fighting Tyson, and I'm here for the beef. He revealed in an interview with Michael Bisping, "I'm trying to ruin that whole thing for him. See if they offer it to me after I knock Jake out and be like, hey, do you want to fight Mike Tyson on Netflix? That's the real win here if I can stop that, but I don't want it to hurt Mike's pockets either." It's clear that Perry took this opportunity to fight Paul just to blow up the YouTuber turned boxer's future plans. That's some real hatred right there. July 20th is about to be one hell of a day, because a lot of things are at risk here, and only a clash between the two can settle the score for once and for all. As for Jake, he's got a lot to train for after that humiliating sparring video. Losing to Perry will be a huge setback for the star, so he really needs to get his game now. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. If I were Jake, I would take Joe Rogan's words seriously and hit the gym more often.
Do you think you can knock him out?
Can I ask you a question?
I think there's a very high chance of that.
You think you can knock out Mike Tyson?
He's not the same. He's not the same fighter that he once was, and he knows that.
Stop it, bro.
Alex, you think you could beat up every white guy? What are you talking about?
I think it's a great fight. I think it is a great fight for that exact reason. Me boxing on the outside, him trying to come forward to knock me out. I have one punch power. He has one punch power. Who wins?
When you've got a room full of people telling you to take Mike seriously, you take Mike seriously, Jake. Yeah, because the 57-year-old, on the other hand, is gearing up like a beast. There's a reason why Mike's considered the best boxer of all time. He's got a champion's mindset, which means he gives every single fight his blood, sweat, and tears, no matter who the opponent is. Even in a clash with Jake Paul, he's training like he's a newbie getting ready for his debut. I mean, take a look for yourself. Iron Mike isn't here to play.
Day 2, we're getting ready for you.
That's a dangerous man right there. Mike's training footage compared to Jake's sparring failure is a wake-up call for the YouTuber turned boxer, to say the least. This performance has raised a lot of eyebrows in the fight world, and boxing pros are hopping on the bandwagon to share their 2 cents on the whole fiasco. Very few have praised Jake Paul for finally stepping in with tough opponents, while many others are on the same page as Rogan and believe that Jake might be in over his head. So there you go, fight world, that's all I have for you today. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you agree with the boxing pros, or do you think they're being too harsh on Jake Paul? Fill the comment section with your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.